Hello, good morning, and good evening. My name is Occida, and in this episode of Map Making Academy for Photoscape 2, we're going to be going through the beginning and the end of your map, which will include the spawn area, if you want to include an intro, as well as the exit region and anything else surrounding that. So right here, we're back in the test course. We already have everything set up from the previous episode, and we're going to get started with the spawn area. So the spawn is simply just a platform where you're going to enter into the map. It's pretty self-explanatory and it's very easy to set up. However, there's a few interesting properties that you need to always keep note of when you're making the map. So when you spawn into the map, it's always going to appear, you're always going to be facing the front of the spawn platform. What does this mean? Well, pretty much whichever way the front side of the part is facing, it's going to be facing you in that direction. And to figure that out, a good way to do that is to simply grab a decal, put it anywhere on the part, and you can see in the Properties tab, there's a data class for the face of where the decal is. You want to switch that to the front. And we can see that the front of the spawn right here is facing this direction. So if I were to simply put this back in here, I would immediately, you can see there's the orange highlight, it's kind of stuck in the wall there. Move it back a little bit. You can see that we'd be facing this wall when we spawn, which is a little inconvenient because we're supposed to go this way. So what we want to do is simply just rotate the spawn platform until we have it facing the direction that we want. And that pretty much sorts out most of the difficulty there. We can go ahead and get rid of the decal once we know where we're going to be facing it. And now, there's another thing that has to do with the intro of the map that's called, or the spawn of the map, it's called the intro. And what this essentially does, it actually goes over in the instructions, so we're going to bring that up right now. Turns out the instructions actually don't say too much about the introduction. But pretty much, it simply says that the intro model is used to simulate the lift moving, and you only should use it if you want to add extra polish. Which, to be fair, it is completely optional. But in most of the maps you make that have like a physical elevator shaft, like this one, where you spawn in, I like to add the intro just to make the map feel a little bit more polished. So how do we set up the intro? Well, what's going to happen in the intro is it's going to simulate the spawn, the elevator shaft coming downwards into the map like this. It goes from top going down. And that can cause a lot of lag and a lot of issues. So what ExitBlock has done is instead of you going down, everything else slowly moves up to give the illusion that you're going down. And so everything that you should be able to see from the get-go at the start of the map is going to be everything you want to put in the intro, because everything that's in the intro is going to come upwards and give you the illusion that it's going down. So if there's anything that isn't in the intro that you see first thing, you might have seen this on a map like Lost Woods, where there's just a random part that is floating out of nowhere and it seems to be moving at the start. It's a little jarring, so at the very least we can try to make sure that everything we see at the start is going to be in the intro. And luckily I set up these big walls right here to make it a little easier. So pretty much, a good way to set up the intro, first of all, you want to make sure you do not select the spawn for the intro. If you put the spawn in the intro, the map will not be able to find the spawn. So we want to select everything else that we can see except for that, which of course would include everything in the elevator shaft. So we're going to click the first one, and then a good way to do that is also to hold Control and click it as well. You can see it's a little hard to see because my selection boxes are purple here. We can do it a little easier if we do these trusses. You can see if I hold Control, I can select multiple at once. So we're going to go ahead and select all of the parts that have to do with the intro. And yes, this also includes buttons, so if someone spawns right here and they see the button first thing, you're going to have to put the button inside of the intro. Okay, so as of now, I have mostly everything that I want selected, and I've already put it in a group. You can simply do that by right-clicking on the area that you have and clicking on the group. And you simply want to rename this to intro. You can see we even have 2 buttons in there. Everything else just automatically gets put in there, including the water. We're going to go over that in just a moment. But when you're making things and putting them into the intro, you want to make sure that when you're scripting the map, you want to make sure that you always point exactly where the object is, which means in, for example, the event scripts we've had here, in the functions we have regarding water, we're going to have to put them inside the intro. Luckily, I've already done that. So, after this, there's 2 good ways to check if you have everything you need in the intro. The first one, and probably the most accessible, is to simply just drag it up and down, drag it way out of the way, and see what else you might have missed that is pretty clearly visible. So for example, I missed this little block right here, and it also wouldn't hurt to put this in the intro too. The block under the spawn platform. So we're going to click, and then we're going to look inside here, and we see this is the little platform below it. It's surrounded on all sides by walls, so it's a little hard to get to. We're going to go in here, and we're going to control click this. And then we can simply drag them into the group. They're going to stay exactly where they are, but they're going to be redirected into the intro. So now we have pretty much most of the intro set up. And so when you spawn on the map, you're going to come down like this, and you should see everything look perfectly fine. But just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to take one part of the intro. That's a little out of the way. Let's say... which part looks good? We're going to take this big wall right here, and we're actually going to take it outside of the intro. And I'm going to show you guys what exactly that looks like, because the second best way to make sure that your intro is working properly is to simply load up the map in Community Maps and check to see which parts look a little bit awkward compared to all the others. And so another reason why we have a big wall right here is to make it so that we limit the number of things we have in the intro. So for example, if I were to not have this wall, or say we peek through it, I would have to put these objects up here into the intro, but because we have a big wall in the way, right here, and no wall up here, we actually can't see them anymore, so we don't have to bother putting them in intro. And because these objects are very interactive, and they have a good bit of scripting surrounding them, it's good that we don't have them in the intro, because we can easily forget things like that, and they can create errors for us down the line. So that's everything considering the intro out of the way. Just one more time, a reminder that you do not put the spawn in the intro. That's very important. And now we have the exit. So the exit region is this green block. It comes in the map making kit, as well as this red wall right here, which we'll be bringing in right now. Pretty much what the exit region does is when your torso, or in other words, just your character, but it really cares about your torso. When it enters the exit region, the game will make sure that all the buttons in the map have been pressed before saying, okay, you completed the map, here's your time. And it's very simple. It's just a region that you touch. There is a red wall here called ExitBlock. And with what this does, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker, is when you finish the map, when you get your time, these blocks right here, which are completely transparent by the way, in the map, they would become canonical true, which means you cannot pass through them. So they effectively act as invisible walls that stop you from exiting the map. And they pretty much keep you in the exit when you're waiting for everyone else. And you don't need to include these by any means. It's just a good way of keeping the finished players in one area to make sure that the newer players, who might not know too much about the map, understand that, hey, this is where all the people who survived have gone. This is where you should be going. So I'm going to add in one more wall right here. And so I have a pretty rudimentary set of walls. I'm going to leave the back open because I want to show you what it looks like when it's there versus not there. And aside from that, we should be ready to go load into community maps. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. And so we're going to immediately see the effects of the intro right here. It should look like we're descending down the elevator as we spawn in. You see, everything looks pretty good. So I don't know if you saw that, but first of all, what actually happened was we did end up seeing the stuff in the background right there. And then it also looked like this wall looked a little bit strange. It looked like it was moving a little bit. We're going to be able to see that in just a few moments once more. And we're going to go back into Studio and fix that real quick. We have all the effects going on right now. And we can also see that all the blocks are right here. Pretty much what we want to do when we're making the final map is to make these completely transparent. But as we're building the map, it's good to know the region we have set up for the exit, just to make 100% sure. Just to make 100% sure, that is. So you can see we can't pass through the red walls, but we can simply just go out anywhere else they are. One more time, you can see that this was moving as we went down. So that is an indication that it is not in the intro, and it should be in the intro. So we're going to go ahead and go back into the studio and go fix that up real quick. So here we are back in studio. We're going to ungroup the map because, of course, every time we want to publish a map, we have to ungroup it. And a couple things. So first of all, this part is not in the intro when we want it to be, so we're going to go ahead and drag it in there. The only problem with having the intro is that when things are inside the intro and you want to select individual parts, you really can't. So what we want to do, because we want to block off view from these from far away. In fact, it doesn't even matter too much because it's super far off, so it might not make too much of a difference. But just to be careful, we're going to scan through all the parts. We're going to find out which one is the wall. Looks like we found it, I believe. Yep. And we're simply just going to raise it up a little bit. It might not look too tidy anymore, but we can simply raise up all the walls if we wanted to, and it would overall fix the problem as well. And with that, we can go ahead and group everything back up. Make sure we have the settings and the event script. And we're going to go publish it to Roblox one more time, and we'll be back. And as we spawn in, we're going to see that everything looks pretty okay now. There's nothing out of the ordinary as we spawn in, and it looks like we have that motion effect working perfectly. So that's pretty much it for the intro, as well as the spawn and the exit regions of the map. If you guys have any questions, comments, just go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys next time. So, now you have a good idea about how the beginning and end of your map will work, and you can use the intro to make the entrance seem much more polished. In the next episode, we will tackle everything you need to know about water, including going through some more basic functions of the event script. Until next time, this has been Occida. See you soon.